is the date that we made that announcement. What that shows is the 6 months preceding and the 6 months after. But it does also give you a sense of the commitment that it took on the part of the company and the people who worked on it, and the amount of belief that we had to have in what we were doing. It was interesting. There were times when, some investors who would look at this and say, wow, company's had a great history. You think this is the best thing you've ever done. Maybe this represents a good opportunity. But it was a challenging, I'd describe it as a challenging beginning for us. And remember, this was 2008, 2009, the worst financial crisis the country had faced since the Depression. We had to finance a project that we initially thought would be about $500 million, turned out to be $1 billion, because along the way we had an opportunity to acquire a company that was our customer, Wild Blue Communications, and to use that as a springboard to bring the services that we could do with this satellite to market. And so we got to see that launch. This is a picture of the launch of Viasat-1 in Baikonur in about almost exactly 2 years ago, 2011. And the image that we had in mind was of transforming, and this is a great scene, at the end of the Apes era in the 2001 movie, of sort of transforming from a primitive state to really being in the mainstream of broadband, something that could compete and do well in the terrestrial world for delivering broadband. That was sort of the vision that we had that motivated us. And we introduced it at the services that we could do with Viasat-1 at the Consumer Electronics Show in January of 2012, almost exactly 4 years after we had that exciting meeting in Wall Street to announce the project. And actually it was quite favorably received. When people saw what we could do with this much bandwidth, it really had an impact on their perception of the role of satellite in delivering broadband. And that upper left corner, there's a tech blog, Ars Technica, and the title of their article was How Viasat Succeed Makes Satellite Broadband Not Suck, which to me really captured a lot of what we were trying to do. It was sort of, where were we going? We got good write-ups in Popular Science, which, again, it's one of the things I used to read when I was growing up, Guinness Book of World Records. And then one of the things this year that really was exciting to us was the FCC publishes reports on measuring broadband in America. And it's been totally focused on terrestrial, DSL, fiber, and cable. For the first time, they included satellite service, ours. And what that chart shows is that in the past, satellite had a reputation of advertising low speeds and not delivering those. We advertise a $50 a month service that delivers 12 megabits. And what this chart shows is that actually the FCC measured our satellite service as being the best compared to all other forms of transmission at over-delivering relative to its promises. So all this was pretty impactful. I can tell you the good things in the story. This is a stock chart that shows what's happened since that other one I showed you 6 months after. And you can see that there have been rewards for the things that we've done. And I think both the financial and the business markets have appreciated what we've done. I still think that one of the things you'll see that can result from this is in-flight Wi-Fi, which has been notoriously expensive and slow. We're doing a project with JetBlue. We have both FAA and FCC approval. I believe in about 3 or 4 weeks, they'll have their public launch. And what we think is we'll be able to deliver high-speed Wi-Fi, as fast as what you get on the ground, to everybody on the airplane. And it will make it economical enough that JetBlue has said they'll start offering it for free, which I think can really be a good sign of what's possible with satellite. In your program, there's the saying, which I love as well, of the 3 phases that anything innovative goes through. And you can see it in our story here. First being that you can't do it, it's not possible. Well, maybe you could, but it's not worth it. And the third, which we're seeing now, is, yep, I knew that all along. And it's just striking how prescient his view is of that when you go through something fairly innovative. You'd think that then we'd sort of declare victory and ride off into the sunset, but we're super excited about our next project, Viasat-2, which we think will be twice the economics, the improvement Viasat-1 did. It's what we're focused on now. And it covers 7 times the geographic area. I think this is really going to be very impactful again in the satellite industry. We're betting a large amount again. Question is, have we learned our lesson? I can tell you our board is older and wiser now, and so we presented what we wanted to do this time, and and this is my recollection, a little bit of the reaction that we got. But in May, we signed the contract to go ahead anyway. We've got the feedback we've gotten even from people in the industry is you can't do this, it's not possible. It must involve magic to get that much bandwidth and that type of a coverage area. And it just, again, reminds us of the Arthur Clarke quote about any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It's a great test of whether we're being ambitious and reaching far enough. And so hopefully what we're seeing is the beginning of what we can do, not anywhere near the end. So that was and another really good quote about stretching your mind. So again, thank you very much to everybody. We really appreciate it.
Hey, we have time for a few questions if someone would like to step up to the mic or just stand up and speak loudly.
Just give us an update on what the process will be for the new launch and where you expect to see these wonderful things happening, sort of as a timeline.
Okay. Yes, so with Viasat-2, we're in the early stages. It's a little bit less than a 3-year development contract, which we started back in May. Very big and challenging satellite that Boeing's building. It's expected to be completed mid-2016. One of the most exciting things about the satellite, if you saw the picture of the coverage area, it actually will cover from the tip, the northern tip of South America, all of North America, all of Canada, over the ocean to Europe, Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean. The coverage area is unprecedented for any type of broadband satellite like that, contiguous coverage area. It has, besides the throughput and the coverage, another important feature that we don't think has ever been done before is the ability to allocate bandwidth flexibly so that we can put it not in a fixed way so that we have a certain amount of bandwidth over the ocean that may never be used, but to allocate it in a way that we think is representative of demand. That will let us expand our markets internationally, but we've had very good success offering our service in the US, and so that's really the driver for it, but it'll let us continue to extend service into Canada, probably Mexico, the Caribbean, and we've had a lot of interest from the airlines, and you can see the coverage over the ocean will let us connect with Eutelsat satellite in Europe and provide seamless, pretty much seamless coverage all the way from South America to the Middle East for high-speed broadband in flight.
Well, that was a perfect segue for my question, which is, was the decision on the area of coverage a technical, a market, or a combination of both?
Yeah, we're very excited about it, about the possibilities for satellite broadband. The reception that we've gotten in the United States has been good. We've put, I think, over 400,000 subscribers on Viasat-1 since we launched it. We're targeting a theoretical capacity of about 1 million. We thought it would take from 3 to 4 years to fill it up, and we're pretty much on pace to do that. In a lot of ways, the United States is the most difficult market because cable modem is so pervasive. So what we wanted was something that would reinforce our presence here, but be able to test other markets where where there is not as good infrastructure. And by getting the flexibility and the capacity and coverage, we'll be able to do that. And we're hopeful that this will create an opportunity for satellite infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, that is highly pervasive all around the world. So it's a combination of the technology and the business.
Given your last remarks, how do you see your interface or competitive position with regard to the O3B system, which is basically trying to target the equatorial region and, you know, Africa, South America, and so on? Do you see yourself in competition, or would that be a complementary system, or how do you see that?
So first, the question was, you know, how do we see ourselves relative to the O3B system? We're really excited about the O3B system. I think it's a very creative concept to use medium Earth orbit in a way that can deliver much lower latency than you get from a geo orbit in an affordable way. Affordable meaning maybe $1 billion-ish to start with. Two things. One is demand for bandwidth is growing so fast and everywhere that it's hard for us to see it as competitive, because we both represent what we believe is a drop in the bucket of the broadband demand in those areas. But also, I think we're going to address different markets. O3B will be really effective at more concentrated applications, that is fiber nodes, cellular head ends, things like that, where we can go much lower, closer to individual consumers. So for instance, in the US, direct to home. We would overlap in some markets, but we actually are quite a partner with O3B and hope to expand that partnership as well.
Yes, sir. Much as the proliferation of cable channel bandwidth, thousands of channels, has dramatically increased the proliferation of content available to put on them, do you feel that what you have done in communication satellite might invite an opening to, I mean, of course, you can move bits and bytes of anything, but its complement in remote sensing of the Earth, where we can get a lot more remote sensing for the masses that can then be distributed to the masses via your satellite bandwidth?
Yeah, so the question is, you know, how does what we're doing in bandwidth relate to remote sensing and collection of data and the large volume data? Well, what we think is, one is you've covered the two big problems. It's collection of interesting content, which could be sensing, it could be events like this, it could be concert sports, and then distribution. We think those two things are going to be highly coupled. They're going to really have a big impact on the way people perceive education, entertainment, and learning. And so we're actually working on most of those things. One of the things we don't talk about very much, but we are a big provider of ground systems for Earth sensing systems. And a lot of the limitations on Earth sensing does have to do with the dissemination of the data, both from the satellite and on the ground. So it is an area that we're looking at. Right now, we're approaching them from different directions, but I think there will be convergence.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Fred Ordway, for me, is like directing your attention to two places at once. First, to a quiet side street, and second, to a 6-lane boulevard. The side street is the Fred Ordway I've known personally for nearly 30 years.